I regret to inform you, and Rivington, I hope you get to watch this video because you've said I shouldn't generalize. Well, there's a rule, isn't there? If you can find 3 examples, it's a trend. That's how journalists operate. That's where we're at. So, Valorant, listen, I can't tell you how disappointing it is to me to see so many CS people, CS and esport, where you are just forged in the fucking fires of Mount Doom. Like, put it this way. I'm old school internet. So I was there at the start with Ogrish and Rotten.com and Goatsy fucking Links and Brian Peppers and 4chan when they were doing the ops all the time. I was around there. I was around back then. So, esports is pussy shit. But that being said, CS is at least the rawest you're going to get it. Because Valve don't care. Say what you want. Do what you want. It's sort of a bit of a, macho kind of game. You run around, you shoot people in the heads. Has an unbelievably high skill ceiling. It's got very adult themes. And as a result, it attracts a certain type of person. And that type of person generally understands nothing wrong with a bit of trash talk, nothing wrong with a bit of banter, getting your opponent's head fuck with their mind. And also understand, if you play shit, you know what? You're going to get called shit. And if you play shit in front of an audience, your rep ain't going to spare you. You're going to get fucking savaged. So, I already talked about last time with Soulcast from Team Liquid on what happened with him and Yinsu, where Soulcast basically said, Yinsu made a joke about me being kicked from a team, which she didn't even do. She said to an analyst, Soulcast has they said Soulcast has had a bad game. And she said, what you're saying is Soulcast kicked in the morning? And he's got, I didn't say that. And that's just it. And you just move on with your life. These fucking bitches that have gone over to Valorant and they're all getting gassed up by 14-year-old kids. You're the best. I love it when you shoot in the cartoon game. And they go, yes, this is real power. I have an empire. Look at me. Yes. It's like, mate, you're the fucking king of the goblins, you moron. As soon as some fucking orcs come along, you're back to being down there, you fucking mad cunt. Simmer the fuck down. But no, that's how they all think, right? So Soulcast just embarrassed himself. I feel like pure shit. Just want praise back. And went on Twitter and said that. And of course, the Goblin Horde rose up and went after Yinsu. But they're just goblins. So it's not a big deal. You just, anyone who's played Dungeons and Dragons know you give level 1 characters goblins. Fortunately, we're not level 1. So you're just getting battered. Don't admit, I've been in the game so long, I don't even generate XP slapping these goblins around, metaphorically, in a video game. Goblins aren't real. So, Soulcast did that, embarrassed himself. And what was great about that was, it didn't happen at the time, but I made a video called Valorant Players Are Soft, which is, as I said at the start of this, if you're watching on YouTube. Rivington said, well, he's only talking about one player there. Oh, if only that were true. My beautiful bearded friend. I still love you, by the way. But it's a bitch move to fucking say something like that on Reddit when you can just tweet it at me. Because I consider you're a good guy and think your opinion's valid. So, what then ended up happening was I made that video. Everyone went, especially from the real esports, like CS, went, fucking hell, that's the most bitch-made shit I've ever seen in my life. Soulcast, what you doing? Now, I, by the way, don't want you to go and do that. If I make a video calling someone a cunt, I don't want you to go, to impress me and say, haha, Richard called you a cunt, and I agree, and I think you're a cunt, and I love Richard, because then you're being like a goblin, and I don't want you to, I'm not the Goblin King. I'm a fucking dwarf lord, right? So don't behave like that. You're embarrassing me, frankly, by association. But what did happen was the owner of Team Liquid, Victor, he came out and he said, fucking hell, how embarrassing. Which, that must be rough for a player. Your org owner publicly tweets how embarrassing that because he's old school esports, forged in the fires just like us. So, he basically went, fucking sorry about that. Obviously, Yinsu can express opinions and say what she wants. And then the drama flared up again because she asked some player to remove a tweet. I've told her this privately, so it's not a shock. Don't go down that road. Let people say what they want. Don't start trying to strong arm people to remove tweets, even if it's false or whatever. If you think what they're doing has a legal claim, just lawyer up. That's what I do. Like, just if you need to go down that road, which very rarely you do, don't flare the drama up again because you come off looking like a bad guy there. Anyway, so you would have thought all the Valorant players would have learnt their lesson. Like, don't be the next Soulcast. And so, where to even begin? Like, holy shit. Dust, obviously a personal friend. Some of the casters I didn't know about. But, like, you remember Android? You remember Android when he played over at Complexity? Like, when I think about the things that motherfucker must have seen and must have gone through being part of NACS, I can't take this serious, mate. It's, again, you're trying to leverage your fucking goblin army, right, to basically, get validation from children. Like, what's wrong with you? Are you a professional fucking sports person? Or are you some clout-chasing fucking high schooler? Like, what do you want to be? Make a decision in your mind now. Because I'll tell you, in real sports, you'll very rarely, not exclusively, but very rarely will you see anyone call out a commentator or whatever for saying they shouldn't have said I had a bad game when I had a bad game. They just knuckle down and do it. And I was talking to the former editor of Riot LOL Esports, or whatever the fuck it was, a guy called Frank Meary, who, spoiler, I mean, I don't really respect his work. I thought that site was garbage, and some of the shenanigans that went over there and the storylines they tried to push were frankly embarrassing. But whatever, I'll talk to anybody. We're all trying to make this work in some way or another. Doesn't mean we can't have a beer. You might be a nice guy in person, whatever. But anyway, he was saying, but I can understand why a player might not, like that, and they'd feel aggrieved. And he used to picture a Michael Jordan, and I'm like, mate. MJ, when he was getting fucking banged on for being too fucking old, do you know what he did? He fucking just said, I'm doing the bare minimum media I do now, and that was it. He never bitched about it. Now, sure, we didn't have Twitter or nothing back then, thank fuck. I got to live at least my good years, my teen years without that shit. But, what a mad nonsense comparison. So, here's what went on. Right, NRG Android. Now you're at NRG, mate. You are representing one of the, fastest growing esports orgs, been super successful. Andy Miller's over there. Like, what? You're representing NRG. Have a fucking word with yourself immediately. You were a fucking bit part player in one of the worst Complexity lineups. Like, you should be pinching yourself that there's been a perfect storm that is enabling you to have a semi-relevant career. Don't get me wrong, it won't last. When them Zoomers come in a couple of years, no one will even fucking remember your name. That's reality. Just enjoy it, for fuck's sake. Just enjoy it. But, like, look at this. I watched the VOD back from today's game. Love how you're miring yourself in misery. Don't, I was watching the VOD. The little tip for you. Watch demos, watch stuff that's been prepared by your coach. Don't watch a VOD of a broadcast. No one's having a good time there. But anyway, I was watching the VOD back from today's game, and I find it ridiculous. The casters kept saying we were being complacent or let off the gas on Split. That's a map if you don't follow Valorant. We're a new team. I assure you we are trying our best every round. Please stop making assumptions like that. Nauseous face. It made him feel sick. Actually triggered me. Now, doesn't end there. That's not the last tweet on the topic. Let me tell you about commentary I used to be a commentator. I've done commentary. I used to commentate on North American Counter-Strike. I am the guy that said to Henry G, hey, want to commentate some games with me for £50 a day? It'll be fun. Be my colour commentator. We'll have good chemistry and we'll be mates. And he went on to be caster of the year, and I turned into this. So I have a good eye for talent. I just can't apply any basic principles to myself. Whatever. So, self-deprecating humor. Come on in. So, right. When you are doing a cast, especially if you don't hear comms, and we're going to talk about that probably later on, you cannot know the minds of the players. And so what you do is you come up with a lexicon of phrases and that try and explain the concepts that we can't possibly know about. So, momentum is a very popular one. They've lost momentum. What does that really mean as a concept? Essentially, when you use the phrase lost momentum, what you are saying is they were winning rounds and playing well. Now they've had a run where they're not. I can't explain why that's happening. It is a word that is often used, but it is a word that is meaningless. But that doesn't mean commentators are bad or don't understand what's going on in the game. It's that we are fucking live. The game is happening. I haven't got time to sit down and analyze everything and put together a fucking contextual breakdown of why they've lost momentum and all the things they should have changed because the game's live. They'd have to stop the game for me to do that. I can't. So when you hear morons, by the way, on forums who go, yeah, the commentators don't even have any game knowledge. How would you like them to apply that? Outside of noticing the color commentator, especially, how would you expect them? They might be able to say something, ooh, that happened. Oh, that's a nice flash. That's this, right? Outside of that, how would they demonstrate deep game knowledge? And I know so many color commentators who have made a decision within themselves to say, it's not about me. I could sit here and make good point after good point after good point, but it would be really slow, really boring. It wouldn't be commentary. And instead they go, fuck it, I'm going to focus on hype. And hype, when you're a hype commentator, when you're a play-by-play commentator, be very careful, career. One of the things I hate about Zoomers are people who complain about light mode versus dark mode. It's a sign of low intelligence. It's a sign of being too young to be on the internet. People get banned for that round these parts, but I'm letting you off this one time. Right? Letting you off one time. You got an any key symbol next to your name, so you probably think this is bullying. So I'm giving you a reprieve. Anyway, let me explain the mechanics of commentary. And I see Vince in the chat, so he can explain this. Think about a match as like joining the dots in one of those books when you're a kid. And each dot is a happening, okay? So, sick frags here, winning a round. Bunch of stuff there, winning a round. Now we've gone to an eco. Economy's broken. Do they win a round? Oh my God, we've had a hype moment where they've got a 4-man with a deagle. These are the moments. And what I have to do as a commentator is draw the line between then and there. Now, fortunately, the line is drawn with ink. And let's think of ink as the material that happens within the game. So things will be happening. Shots, trades, etc. But if there is nothing happening, I can't stop drawing the line. I still have to get us there. So I come up with phrases to get us there. Because dead air is a sin. And one of the things you will do is you will speculate as to why the team that was winning was losing, or why the team that is winning, or how it's a mismatch. Do you see what I mean? This is how it works. So you will find a lot of phrases in commentary that are the equivalent of like dead calories, the bad calories. They're not saying anything, but we have to say something to keep drawing that line. And so you end up with, well, They're being complacent. They are not, right? When a commentator says this team is being complacent, do you think the commentator means it is an indictment of you and your commitment to your job as a pro player and that you don't try and you don't train and you're not trying to win? Or do you think it means complacent as in, yes, they have, they're not as full throttle as they were. They're not as aggressive as they were. They're not winning the rounds. It is essentially an empty calorie phrase. It is meaningless. The fact that it triggered you is absolutely insane. It is absolutely mad that would trigger you. And then, oh Lord, Dust has to come in. Will you just let fucking Dust have an opinion about the games that he commentates on? Can he just say things? Is it okay? Like, this cunt, like, I don't know what Dust has done in a past life to deserve this. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. I wasn't trying to argue complacency, though I don't remember my exact wording. I just meant things got a bit sloppy in the second half of Split. Another way you can use the word complacent, right? You've took your eye off the ball, you've been a bit complacent there, and you're making mistakes you shouldn't make. Perfectly valid, perfectly acceptable for a commentator to say. As you said yourself, that is expected after a roster change as people swap roles, which I did mention a few times. Sounds like he contextualized his opinions. I was never making an argument about effort or commitment. I was simply sharing what I saw, which was just some issues here and there. I'm sure that will get sorted in time. As I said on air several times, your team is stacked with talent, has a lot of potential. Good luck in C3. Now, see, Dust has made a fatal error here because he's shown weakness. Because I would have tweeted at him, man the fuck up, you absolute soft, embarrassing cunt. You played shit, you lost the game, fuck you. And that's the only thing, by the way, you should be saying to self-pitying players. Haven't you got a server? Haven't you got some deathmatch to do? Because you were fucking shite. That's it, mate. If you've got time to whine on Twitter instead of knuckling down, you're never going to be nothing. You're never going to win no games. Get your fucking head out your ass. Embarrassing. That's what you tell them. That's what you have to tell them. Like, fucking hell. Woe betide, by the way, because, like, I know I can toss my hat into the Valorant ring anytime. People have said, oh, you ever thought about maybe hosting a Valorant event or doing this? Be great to have you back. We don't know how it'll work with Riot Games, but for now, we're running the tournaments. Also, I might just make a by the numbers style podcast, which would reduce you all to fucking tears. If me and Thorin and Monty decide to do, like, the definitive Valorant podcast, God forbid you have a bad game. God forbid. You'll need a hemorrhoid cushion. It'll be fucking unbelievable. So just count your lucky stars. You're dealing with gentle Dust, right? And so it doesn't end there. Where was the other fucking tweet? Right, here we go. I realised I didn't show you Dust's tweets, but it doesn't really matter. The downside to looking at Dust's tweet is you have to see Dust's profile pic. So, you know, I've spared you that. Everyone gets it. So, right? There's another commentator, right? Called Tanner Metro. He's an up-and-coming commentator, apparently. I don't really know him. Right now, by the way, and I'm going to write an article about this. If you're an up-and-coming commentator... If you're an up-and-coming commentator in Valorant, it is a fucking viper's nest. I've never seen anything like it. I get like these up-and-coming commentators and people who are going from CS and trying to make it happen over there, right? And they're telling me mad shit, like orgs who just kicking you halfway through a fucking broadcast and threatening to fucking not pay you if you complain about it. People stepping over each other, undercutting each other, actual casters being hired to hire talent and fucking over other talent. It's an absolute disgrace. And I'm coming, by the way, because I'm not letting you fuck over my friends for too long. So you've had your fun, sort that out, because there's orgs that already aren't paying people. I'm coming for you. I'm going to fuck you all up and name names and drop dime because it's absolutely outrageous what's going on. And when someone like Vince, again, in the chat, show him some love, when someone like Vince has to literally say, can I get hired for a fucking gig? Vince, do you know what I mean? Imagine it. Imagine some of the people you're letting have a go at casting one of the new and upcoming premier fucking esports, and you're going to say no to a guy that's like casted majors in CSGO. Are you fucking dizzy blood? Are you dizzy blood? Just give this guy a gig. Anyway, turns out they were dizzy blood. So, Tanner Metro, again with an apology. Hey man, I'm sorry you felt this way. In no way are we trying to misrepresent the team in any way. And everyone is aware of the growing pains in having a new roster. We form opinions and speculate because we aren't actually inside the minds of the players. Exactly what I've just said. Seems like a bright young man, right? Now, this is the worst example of Valorant players being soft. It's worse than the Soulcast thing in a way. Just maybe think, right? Won't somebody think of the paid professionals? That's literally his argument. Just maybe think about the fact we're paid professionals representing a big org, also playing in the biggest tournament in Valorant so far, and it happens to be our last chance. Seems obvious we're just lost. It has nothing to do. We're not trying. Won't you think? Won't you think about me with my luxuries? Right. How about this, Android, since you're all about fucking empathy? Do you understand, right, that this is a young and upcoming commentator, right, who wants to get hired for more gigs? And the way the hierarchy works, casters very rarely are bigger than players, almost never. So you have a bigger audience than him, right? And you've come out and basically said they said something they didn't say because you want to self-pity because you lost a fucking video game because you weren't good enough to win said video game. And now what you've done is forced him into a fucking public apology, also implied he's not good at his job, which apparently, bully for you, right? You get to do that, but he can't do it about you. Here's the difference. A commentator, it's in their remit to say if you're having a bad game. It ain't in your remit to say they had a bad cast. You're a player. You are paid handsomely to do that and to focus on that. I recommend, if you do focus on that more, you will lose less games and less commentators will call you shit. Just a thought. Won't you think of me earning a salary to play a video game? It's hard, you know. It's so hard. Won't you think of me? I can't believe you came from... I renounce you. I renounce you. You are cast out of... You have no Counter-Strike DNA left. What a fucking embarrassment. At least Soulcast never really was a CSGO player. Come on. He's from the UK. But that's it. It's fucking exile for you now, mate. It's like the CS community are embarrassed. Not the most embarrassing thing. I just want to take you back in time because otherwise there's no real way to work this in. And this will be a YouTube video. Hi, if you're watching in the future. How you all doing? I streamed this in the middle of the day. Mad, innit? Right. I want to just also tell you, it's not just players that are soft, as in the pro players, the fans. Because it's happening again. Like what I saw in League, it took 5 years for the League of Legends players, the fans, to grow the fuck up and realise, like, roster moves are just part of the space. Opinion pieces are part of the... You know, because every time a new game starts and all the kids, all the Zoomers, I got ADHD, I can't concentrate on anything for 30 seconds, what's new, right? And they just flood into your esports scene and you just have to fucking cope with it, right? Every time you have to fucking reset and explain to them the things that we've established time and time again. Journalists are allowed to write opinion pieces. That's not journalism, that's opinions. Opinion pieces are a type of journalism. No, have you even read a newspaper? Well, no, but you have to go through that. You have to explain to them that commentators can say mean things, that it's actually part of trash talk is part of the game. You have to go through it over and over and over and over again. Because what you have to remember is jaded as you are, They are new humans, essentially, you know. You can't, it's not their fault. But it's frustrating, and you end up hating them. Oh, and man, I fucking hate those children having fun. You end up hating them, not because they're just idiot kids. You end up hating them because all the other idiot kids, the millions of idiot kids that came before them, but those idiot kids are now like 20, 21, 22, you know. You don't always grow up. I mean, Ethan proves that. Happy birthday again, mate. But, you know, generally by 20, 21, 22, I get a flood of DMs every day. So alongside the death threats and the hate and people reaching out and saying I helped them through tough times, the other type of email I get on a regular basis is, when I was a child, I said all these mean things to you because I was a moron. I'm sorry I was a moron. I'm not a moron now. And you go, brilliant, fantastic. Go forth, multiply. We need more people like you. So it is possible, right? It is possible. You can teach even idiots to not be idiots. But you end up with unbelievably dumb drama. And let me bring you to the Sentinels team. So this was back. When was this? When was first strike? Well, anyway, it's irrelevant. It's not ancient history. Let me just remind you of this story, which it was the end of last year, wasn't it? So this was the story about Sentinels. What they thought they'd do is, when they were playing against 100 Thieves, again, two big North American organizations and an emerging esport. Wow, isn't this a great thing for Valorant? Basically, Dapper was teabagging players while he was shooting them. Now, for those who don't know, teabagging, as it's called, well, first of all, teabagging in real life is when you put your balls, the whole scrotum with the balls in someone's mouth, and they go like they're brewing tea, and it's a pleasant sensation, so I'm told. And because to achieve that, you have to do this. Most exercise I've done this week. People took that act, right, and put it in video games to show dominance in a video game. I've teabagged you, right? And so, when that happens in a game, people consider it a sign of disrespect. It upsets people, but it's also a good way to get into have a bit of fun, get into your opponent's head. Now, I do want to remind everyone, the FGC, it's a way of life. I remember when we did E-League, I probably told this before, whole Richie 2 story strikes again. But when we did E-League, because it was on TV, we have to meet this thing like it's, what's it called? Standards and practices. And it's a part of the FCC in America. And it means that, certain language at certain times, you have to respect certain things. And so we had a serious meeting when we put the FGC on air, when we had Street Fighter on. And they basically came in, the suits, and said, yes, we've been talking to standards and practices, and we've got some concerns about the word teabagging and teabags. So, because we understand it's a sex act, and so please don't say it on the broadcast. And so we were like, well, what the players are gonna do it? So how do we explain that players in fighting games, when they knock you down, run over and go and jump up and down? How do we explain that to an audience? And so me, Tasty Steve, Rip, Sajam and Z came up with was we just called it the down, bit of down action. And that was kind of our running joke. It was the down. So it was probably some other phrase, but tactical crouching, another phrase. Yeah, you're right there. But it was the down is the one we went with. Tasty Steve, there you go. He's doing the dirty. right? Because you don't, we're not explicitly using the word. And like, this is no joke. I remember because Christina, who used to work over there, she was great. Christina Alejandre, love her very much. She said, and it was so serious. God bless her. She said, yeah, because, the last thing we want is, say a grandmother tunes in by accident or she's watching with her family and then she watches the show, wonders what teabagging is and then goes and Googles it. And you can imagine me. I'm a fucking juvenile. I was like, fuck it. Oh, God. I was so fucking creased in this meeting where I'm trying to be fucking serious. Because just the thought of like some 70-year-old woman, teabagging, you say? What's this, Shuddy? Oh, my me. Balls in the mouth. I used to do that to your granddad. As if old people have never had sex before. But anyway, so... Anyway, so if the FGC, which is one of the most sensitive fucking communities of all time, speaking from very personal experience, if they can cope with a bit of teabagging, everyone can. And I have literally seen some really stupid opinions about it, mainly from games journalists. I've seen it argued that teabagging is a violation. It's a virtual. I've seen it described as virtual sexual assault, and it's like, guys, I can't get there. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm being callous or inconsiderate, but I just can't. I can't meet you there. It's a bit of fun. It's obviously, if we were to do it in real life, it would be grotesquely inappropriate. But in video games, you do things all the time. We wouldn't be beating each other up, would we, in a video, in real life, It's not DreamHack 2015. So anyway, teabagging to me is fine. It's teabagging's part of the game, right? And if someone wants to try and get in your opponent's head with some disrespect or bad manners, I think that's within the remit. But anyway, back here, the fans lost their mind. Dapper said he got death threats because he teabagged people. I'm absolutely teabagged members of 100 Thieves. I'm absolutely sure he did. You can see as well. The act of... Imagine having to write this as a journalist. The act of teabagging, or crouching repeatedly over an opponent in game, can be perceived as disrespectful, toxic, and unsportsmanlike by some pro players and fans alike. And while members of 100 Thieves were very vocal regarding how they found teabagging extremely rude, personal threats don't have a place in this matter. Yeah, and that was when Nitro came out and said, imagine teabagging and losing. And I'll tell you this, he wasn't being serious. Nitro's good people. He wasn't outraged. He's also having a bit of fun. You try to disrespect me and I fucking beat you in a game. He's not being sensitive. Nitro, very much a CS guy, not an android, So, then... I'm not making this because Dapper realised, you got to be careful. Right. When you tweet stuff like this out, you have to be ready, right? So, if you're going to do it, put your beekeeper suit on. Because you can't kick a hornet's nest and go, hornet! They're stinging me! You can't do it, right? Obviously, fans are deranged at the best of times. It's there in the name. Fans, fanatic. They're out of their mind. I love 100 Thieves. I love them so much. I will threaten another human being on the internet for insulting them, even if it wasn't an insult. You can't do anything with people like that. They'll be deeply ashamed of who they were when they get older. But for now, they exist and they're morons and it's terrible and you just have to live with it. So he had to come out and go, I'm not insulting all 100 Thieves fans. It was just a random weirdo. Let's all get along. Yeah. Fuck them fans. That's what I would have said. But then, Shazam You remember him, obviously, on Sentinels as well. Some people sent him abusive messages about his dad, who apparently had passed away, which I didn't know, and sorry to hear about. Same people seem happy my dad died because we're hitting a key on our keyboard. Don't even think I did it more than once the whole series, laughing my ass off. So yeah, I didn't know. I didn't catch that. Now that he's moved over to Valorant, it's hard to keep up. So this is the type of environment that's being fucking cultivated right now, where you can't have good rival. Right, the commentators can't say anything bad about players. Players can't say anything bad about each other because then the fans get triggered and think it's an entire fucking no, guys. To use sporting terminology, time out. Like, you can have a great emerging esport, a healthy scene, right? Loads of cool rivalries and banter. You can have that. We've got that in CS. No reason you can't have it over there. But everyone's got to just grow the right. You need to get a handle and stop pandering to children, right? Your feelings hurt because a commentator said you were shit. You're a child. Grow the fuck up. You got to hit him with the grow up gas. Grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck up. That's all there is to it. Hey, Teabag, the player I like. Have you tried growing the fuck up? Oh, yeah, sorry, my bad. Didn't think of that. That's what you have to do. This game, has so much potential, and what will help propel it, especially as you get towards LAN, you get towards big competitions, you can basically have super cool rivalries, people BMing each other in game, games getting a little bit heated, trash talking interviews. You can have that. And it'll make your game better. Remember all that stuff I was talking about with Call of Duty? It works. It builds scenes. It builds spaces. It creates engagement. But you can't be threatening to kill people for pressing down. Relax.